Emma knew her husband Liam had been under a lot of pressure lately. His job as an architect was demanding, and he often stayed up late working on blueprints. Still, it wasn't unusual for him to talk out loud when he was stressed. He'd mumble to himself, double-checking measurements or reminding himself of deadlines. At first, Emma thought nothing of it. One evening, as they sat together on the couch watching a movie, Liam leaned over to pass her the popcorn and said, "Here you go, Amelia." Emma froze. "Who's Amelia?" she asked, her voice calm but sharp. Liam's face turned pale. He stammered, I meant Emma. It just slipped out." "Sorry, babe." Emma knew her husband Liam had been under a lot of pressure lately. His job as an architect was demanding, and he often stayed up late working on blueprints. Still, it wasn't unusual for him to talk out loud when he was stressed. He'd mumble to himself, double-checking measurements or reminding himself of deadlines. At first, Emma thought nothing of it. Emma laughed it off, pretending it didn't bother her. But inside, she felt a cold knot in her stomach. Who was Amelia? Why had he said that name so naturally, like it was second nature? That night, as Liam slept soundly beside her, Emma lay awake. She stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. Was Liam having an affair? The thought hurt, but it seemed impossible. He barely had time for himself, let alone another woman. Still, the name lingered in her mind. Amelia. The next day, Emma decided to pay closer attention. She began noticing little things. Liam often smiled to himself, as if sharing a private joke. He'd pause in the middle of a task, as though listening to someone. And then there were the whispers, soft, almost inaudible. Emma couldn't take it anymore. One evening, as they sat down for dinner, she confronted him. "Liam," she began, her voice steady but firm. "I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with me." Liam looked up from his plate, his expression wary. "What is it? Who is Amelia?" His fork clattered onto the plate. For a moment, he looked like a deer caught in headlights. Then he sighed and ran a hand through his hair. She is no one," he said weakly. "That's not an answer," Emma replied, her voice trembling. "You've been talking to yourself a lot lately. You called me by her name. And now you're acting like you're hiding something. I need to know the truth." Liam hesitated, then finally spoke. "Amelia isn't real," he said quietly. She is in my head." Emma stared at him, confused. "What do you mean, in your head?" "I created her," Liam admitted. "A long time ago, when I was a kid. She was like an imaginary friend. But as I got older, she didn't go away. She's always been there, in my mind. I talk to her sometimes when I'm stressed or lonely. It's comforting." Emma didn't know what to say. Part of her wanted to laugh. It sounded ridiculous. But the serious look on Liam's face stopped her. "And you think this is normal?" she asked. "No," Liam admitted. "I know it's strange. But she has helped me through so much. When I feel lost or overwhelmed, she is there. She listens. She understands me in ways no one else can." Emma felt a pang of jealousy. "What do you mean, understands you?" "I am your wife, Liam. I am supposed to be the one who understands you." "You do," he said quickly. "But Amelia, she is different. She is perfect." The word hung in the air like a dagger. Perfect. Emma's chest tightened. "So I'm not perfect enough for you?" she asked, her voice breaking. "That's not what I meant," Liam said, reaching for her hand. "You are real, Emma. You're my wife." "I love you. Amelia's just she's a part of me I can't explain." Emma pulled her hand away. Tears stung her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "I don't know what to do with this, Liam," she said. "You're talking about another woman like she's your soulmate, and I'm supposed to just accept that she lives in your head." Liam didn't respond. He looked down, his face filled with guilt. That night, Emma slept in the guest room. She needed space to think. Her mind was a whirlwind of emotions, confusion, anger, sadness. Who was Amelia, really? And how could Emma compete with someone who wasn't even real? Emma spent the next few days in a haze. She couldn't focus on anything, not her work, not her friends, not even her favorite hobbies. Amelia's name echoed in her mind like a haunting melody she couldn't escape. Liam tried to act normal, but Emma could tell he was walking on eggshells around her. He would glance at her nervously during breakfast, offer to help with chores he usually avoided, and pepper his sentences with, "I love you." But Emma couldn't bring herself to respond. Every time she looked at him, all she could think about was Amelia. One evening, Emma decided she needed answers. She waited until Liam was asleep, his soft breathing steady and calm. Then, with trembling hands, she unlocked his laptop. It felt wrong to invade his privacy, but Emma couldn't help herself. If Amelia was a part of Liam's life, Emma needed to know more. She opened his search history, his emails, even his saved files. At first, there was nothing unusual, just work documents, sports articles, and random videos. But then she found it. A folder labeled Amelia. Emma hesitated. Her heart pounded in her chest as she clicked on it. The folder contained dozens of text files, each with a date as its name. She opened the most recent one. It was a journal entry written by Liam, March 12th, 2024. Amelia and I talked today. She told me to take a break, to stop pushing myself so hard. She is always looking out for me, even when I don't deserve it. She said she believes in me, that I'm stronger than I think. I don't know what I would do without her. Emma's breath hitched. She read another entry. February 28th, 2024. Amelia asked me why I have been so distant. I told her about the fight Emma and I had. She listened, like she always does. She said Emma loves me, even when I mess up. Amelia's so good at seeing the best in people. Sometimes I wish Emma could be more like her. Tears blurred Emma's vision. She felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. It wasn't just that Liam talked to Amelia, confided in her. He valued her advice. He wished Emma were more like her, but Amelia wasn't real. Right. Emma shut the laptop and sat in the dark, her mind spinning. Was she losing her husband to a figment of his imagination? How could she compete with someone who only existed in Liam's head, someone he could shape into perfection? The next morning, Emma confronted Liam again. "I read your journal," she said bluntly. Liam's face darkened. "You what?" "You heard me?" Emma said, her voice hard. "I found your folder about Amelia. I read everything. You write about her like she's your wife, Liam. You tell her things you don't even tell me." Liam stood up, his jaw clenched. "That was private." "So was our marriage," Emma shot back. "But now I find out I'm sharing you with someone who doesn't even exist." "She is not real, Emma," Liam shouted. "You're the one I married, the one I love. She is part of my mind. She is not a threat to you." "Not a threat?" Emma laughed bitterly. "You don't even see it, do you? You have built her up into this perfect woman who never argues with you, never lets you down. How am I supposed to compete with that?" "You're not supposed to compete," Liam said, his voice softening. "She's not real. You are. You're the one I chose." "But you don't treat me like it," Emma whispered. "You turn to her when things get hard. Not me." Liam looked away, guilt etched across his face. "I don't know how to stop," he admitted. "She's been with me for so long. She's part of who I am." Emma's heart ached. She wanted to scream, to cry, to make him see how much he was hurting her. But instead, she asked, "Have you ever thought about getting help? Talking to someone about this?" Liam hesitated. "You mean therapy?" "Yes," Emma said. "You can't keep living like this, Liam. We can't keep living like this." For the first time, Liam looked uncertain. "I don't know," he said. "What if it makes things worse? What if I lose her?" Emma's stomach twisted. Even now, he was more worried about losing Amelia than fixing their marriage. "If you love me," she said quietly, "you will try." Liam didn't answer right away. Finally, he nodded. "Okay," he said, "I will try." It wasn't much, but it was a start. The days following Liam's promise to seek therapy were slow and tense. Emma tried to convince herself that this was a step forward, that things might finally start to change. But the unease in her chest never left. Each night as they lay in bed, Liam seemed miles away, lost in his thoughts. Emma couldn't help but wonder if he was talking to her, the woman she couldn't see, couldn't touch, and couldn't fight. When Liam finally scheduled his first therapy session, Emma felt a cautious sense of hope. It was a virtual appointment, so Liam locked himself in his office while Emma waited anxiously in the living room. She tried to distract herself by flipping through TV channels, but nothing could hold her attention. Every so often, she'd glance at the clock, counting down the minutes. When the session ended, Liam came out looking drained but relieved. "How did it go?" Emma asked, her voice careful. "It was weird," Liam admitted. He rubbed the back of his neck, a nervous habit Emma had come to recognize. Talking about her out loud to someone else. It felt wrong, like I was betraying her. Emma's stomach tightened. "You are not betraying her, Liam. She is not real." Liam flinched, and Emma immediately regretted her words. She softened her tone. "I mean, this is about us. About making our marriage stronger, right?" He nodded slowly. "Right." For the next few weeks, Liam continued his therapy sessions. He started sharing bits and pieces of what he discussed, though Emma could tell he was holding back. "The therapist says Amelia might be a coping mechanism," he explained one evening over dinner. "Something I created to deal with loneliness when I was younger." "Does that mean you can let her go?" Emma asked cautiously. Liam hesitated. "Maybe, but it's not that simple. She has been with me for so long. It's like losing a part of myself." Emma wanted to understand, but it was hard. She had spent years thinking she knew Liam better than anyone, only to discover there was a whole side of him she had never seen. One night, Emma woke up to find Liam missing from their bed. She got up, her heart pounding, and followed the soft sound of his voice to the kitchen. Liam was sitting at the table, talking quietly to an empty chair. "Liam?" Emma called, her voice trembling. He turned, startled, and immediately looked guilty. "Emma, were you talking to her?" Emma asked, though she already knew the answer. Liam sighed. "I couldn't sleep. She helps me think." Emma crossed her arms. What did she say this time? Liam hesitated, then admitted, "She told me not to give up. That therapy is the right thing to do, even if it's hard." Emma stared at him, torn between anger and heartbreak. "Do you even hear yourself, Liam? You're taking advice from someone who only exists in your head." Liam stood, his expression defensive. "You don't understand, Emma. She is not just in my head. She feels real to me. When I talk to her, it's like she is right there, listening, caring. Sometimes I feel like she knows me better than I know myself." Emma's voice cracked. "What about me, Liam? I am your wife. I am here, flesh and blood. But you're pouring your heart out to her instead of me." "I am trying, Emma!" Liam shouted, his voice raw. "Don't you think I want to fix this? But Amelia's been with me for so long. Letting her go, it's like ripping out a part of who I am." Emma felt tears welling up, but she refused to let them fall. She turned and walked out, leaving Liam standing alone in the kitchen. The next day, Emma decided she couldn't keep living like this. She needed to take action, to reclaim her marriage. She made an appointment with Liam's therapist, asking for a joint session. Liam agreed reluctantly, though she could see the tension in his posture as they sat side by side on the couch. The therapist, a calm and empathetic woman named Dr. Carter, guided the conversation gently. "Liam," Dr. Carter began, "can you tell me what Amelia represents to you? Why she's so important?" Liam took a deep breath. "Amelia is just the person I turn to when I feel like I'm not enough. When I mess up or feel overwhelmed, she's there to remind me I can do better. She doesn't judge me, she just accepts me." Emma's heart ached at his words. "And what about me, Liam? Don't I accept you?" Liam turned to her, his expression pained. "You do, Emma. But with Amelia, there's no pressure, no expectations. It's different." Dr. Carter leaned forward. "Liam, do you think that maybe Amelia has become a way for you to avoid vulnerability with Emma? Real relationships are messy and imperfect, but they're also where true connection happens." Liam didn't respond immediately. He looked down at his hands, his brow furrowed. "Maybe," he admitted quietly. And Emma, Dr. Carter continued, how does it feel to hear Liam say these things? Emma swallowed hard. It hurts. I feel like I'm competing with someone I can never measure up to. Someone who doesn't even exist. The session was emotional and exhausting, but it was a breakthrough. For the first time, Liam acknowledged that Amelia's presence, while comforting, was also a barrier between him and Emma. Over the next few weeks, Liam began to open up more to Emma. He talked about his fears, his insecurities, and the struggles he had faced growing up. Emma listened, trying to push past her own pain to understand his. It wasn't easy. There were still moments when she caught him slipping, moments when she wondered if he could ever truly let go of Amelia. One evening, Liam came to Emma with a determined look on his face. I think I am ready, he said. Ready for what? Emma asked. To say goodbye to Amelia. Emma's breath caught. Are you sure? Liam nodded. I can't keep living in two worlds. I need to focus on us, on what's real. Together, they came up with a plan. Liam would write a final journal entry to Amelia, a way of acknowledging her role in his life, while also letting her go. Emma sat with him as he wrote, her hand resting on his shoulder. Dear Amelia, you've been with me for as long as I can remember. You've seen me at my worst and lifted me up when I needed it most. But it's time for me to move on. You've been my safe space, my confidant, but I can't keep holding on to you. I have someone real who loves me, someone who deserves my whole heart. Thank you for everything. Goodbye. When he finished, Liam closed the laptop and looked at Emma. It's done, he said, his voice shaky but resolute. Emma hugged him tightly, tears streaming down her face. For the first time in months, she felt a glimmer of hope. They still had a long way to go, but for the first time, it felt like they were on the same path together.